the question was sincere, and that the person had probably had the experience, the person, but I'm really talking about the brother right here, had seemingly had multiple experiences of dealing with religious people in a context in which their intelligence wasn't sufficiently respected. Okay. And the person was looking for some kind of experience where religion does justice and respect to his own intelligence. In this case, of course, own intelligence.
Right.
And I think that is a common experience. Now, it is not my concept that the religious person is to decide when somebody else should be convinced to the other person's satisfaction. Okay. With me believing in Allah, I believe that Allah has had a relationship with Corey, which was unknown to me. I'd never heard a thought from him until last week. And for me to, last month, and for me to get the idea that I'm thinking I should come up with the sentence or the paragraph to be to Corey's satisfaction. And I just shook his hand a few moments ago.
Okay.
You know, I'm playing God cheap. Right?
Okay.
Actually, as far from my perspective, God might have the person he wants to talk to Corey next month, and I'd be getting in the way. This is not for me to know. Okay. But I will say, Islam has the teaching from Prophet Muhammad that of all the things that God created, the most useful is the intelligence. Okay. So Islamic teaching, as I understand it, is in accordance with his basic position that naturally the intelligence should be respected. I believe I said last month, I don't know if it was in the part that was aired or in the part that got cut off, that the Quran says, do they not think? Do they not use their intelligence? Do they not reflect? Okay? And the Quran is promoting that people have that. Okay? So if he has not run across something to his satisfaction, he's on the right path. Okay? It's the people who say you should believe and not use your intelligence who are in fact on the wrong path, from my understanding of what the Quran teaches. Okay? And the Quran also teaches in terms of the stages of development. Okay? And it's not put in these exact words. Okay? But in one portion, it talks about the self in a way that the scholars regard as the lowest stage of the self, nafsul amara, where the self is just driven by appetites and drives. And then the stage of the self that's considered the transitional stage is the moral questioning self. Nafs al-lawama, which is kind of like the tasting, testing, evaluating sense, without which a person doesn't really rise. Okay? And I'm seeing manifestation of this in the explanation of his evaluating and weighing and evaluating this moral utilitarianism, something of this nature.
Secular humanism.
The secular humanist is how he described himself. But he mentioned judging by a criterion of moral utilitarianism in the long run, evaluating the value of things, which is what the human being is supposed to do. Okay? Now, I believe I said last month that Corey, I didn't know it was Corey, really has to mean, and I guess this is perhaps me jumping out too much, too far, taking it by myself, to meet people in whom he sees, like he said, evidence that intelligent people, have grown even more and benefited even more and been even more guided by religion, scripture, faith, etc., and it has taken them even further. I believe I mentioned Dr. Maurice Bucaille,
Okay.
as a French scientist who has done research and published books on scriptural passages that scientists have subsequently found to be true. Okay.
Mhm.
But you know, I think I said last month that I just have to acknowledge that I'm not really the person. Okay. You know, I would like to be able to show myself back when I was so-called educated and so-called high IQ degenerate person.
Okay.
You know, but I can't show somebody how I was 30, 35 years ago. That's just a testimony. You know,
Okay.
they actually get no picture. I don't even have a video
Okay.
of how I used to be.
Okay.
Okay, when I had my first degree,
Okay.
my second degree
Okay.
from college. So that would just be like a personal testimony that it is that what Scripture and all of this has done for me. But I'll just add, and all I'm saying is words. It's just nothing but words. Okay.
Mhm.
I thought Yale was deep,
Mhm.
but compared to the Quran, it's like a drop in the ocean. That's what the tour that I've been given by my leader. Okay.
Okay.
When I came out of college with my first degree, I could speak in 3 languages.
Okay.
Nobody had any good reason to hear me speak because I had nothing to say in 3 languages. Okay.
Okay.
I did not really get anything worth saying or worth being on a video to talk about or represent until I got my mind expanded
Okay.
by Quran and a Quranically inspired teacher. But again, that's just words. That's my testimony.
Okay. Okay. Would you like to give any further comments to that, ma'am?
Well, this one of the difficulties of actually demonstrating, because I will immediately, like, I'm trying to think how I put this. Many religious people, it seems, try to put the onus on their religion for certain good behaviors and saying that's because of their religion. But really, as human beings, we're social creatures.
Okay.
It's better when we're in a community than when we're alone.
Okay.
So that's what religion actually does. That. So religion could just be a natural. The sense of community can be a natural byproduct of all religions.
Okay.
Any religion that actually gives a sense of community, a sense of brotherhood, is good for us.
Okay.
So if someone actually wants to use that as evidence for their religion, then I say, well, that's good for all of us.
Right.
So it's actually really difficult for the. He didn't exactly talk about this exactly, but I was just kind of clarifying my points. It would have to be like a behavior that they can point to that is not necessarily. It would help if it was definitely help if it was exclusive to their religion. Some practice that they do that is just them. But if it's going to be some vague human behavior that is encouraged, like humility, that's a good behavior. We should all do that. Why is that? That's not exclusive to your religion.
Yeah.
Many of you are many Christians are generous. Okay, and many Islamic people, like one of the reasons that we actually have a lot of I really thank the Islamic culture for this, because if we didn't have the Islamic culture, we would not have a lot of Greek culture. We wouldn't know about it because the Christian culture burned everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thank them for saving it because I love the Greek culture. So it's just about any religion has had high points and low points where it just seems like the religion, at least to me, just did not ebbed and flowed with the culture. Like if a religion comes from an objective source,
Okay.
then I would expect it to be more steady.
Okay.
And if there's an actual theistic God that is actually a guide, like a guiding hand,
Mm-hmm.
it would seem like if I was this guy, I would want to, if they started going down the right path, encouragement would be the best way.
Okay.
If they start going down the wrong path, then discouragement would be the best way. So if we actually